And so I'm assuming that you think that accrual would be a benefit to an ABA provider.
Definitely, it's the best basis overall because of that delay in payment, and it allows you to see a true profitability of the business. The main drawback is it is more expensive generally to do, right, and more time intensive because you're having to do more calculations in determining the accrual revenue, which the ease depends on, okay, which practice management system you're using. Are the contractual rates in there? Is it easily accessible? Or is it something that has to be manually calculated? Also adjustments to your expenses for accrual basis, right? So payroll, for example, if you're on a bi-weekly cycle, there's generally a pay run that covers 2 months, right? So there's an adjustment that would need to be done there to account for that, to estimate what the payroll was for each month.
Gotcha.
Okay, so I just want to make sure I'm like tracking here because this is the area that I was more clinical based, right? And so I know there's a lot of BCBAs out there who are more focused on clinical based, and a lot of this is brand new. So you're saying that accrual helps you to see your true profitability, and that even though it may be a little more expensive and take a little bit more work, it's going to help you see have a better picture of what you're dealing with.
Correct. Because if I always say clients that if you're on an accrual basis and you're in a loss position, there's obviously a fundamental problem with the business that needs to be resolved, because that indicates that even if you collect all your billings at your contractual rate, it is not sufficient to cover the expenses you incur. So you will continue to lose money month on month until you see an accrual profit. And that's very hard to assess on a cash basis. If you see those ups and downs with collections, you may not know that you're actually in an accrual loss position. You may see it in the cash balance, that your cash balance is gradually dwindling month on month. You're having cash flow problems. That's generally an indicator that there is an accrual loss problem. So being on accrual allows you to at least identify, hopefully, what's the cause of that. Is it a gross margin problem, looking at your direct labor, so your RBTs, your BCBAs, compared to your contractual rates, or is it an overhead problem? Do you have too much in overhead expenses? So your admin payroll, your rent, your utilities, your office expenses, are they too much for what you're generating in revenue?
My next question is, because I'm going to say, like, maybe I'm incorrect on this, but I'm going to say the vast majority of ABA providers are probably on a cash basis, I would assume. And so if they come to you and you're like, yeah, we should probably switch this over, is that a huge deal? Do you have to change something as far as like to the government? Like, do they have to know how you're doing this, or is that a big deal?
In most cases, no. So it's common. A common question is, okay, I report on a cash basis to the IRS. Does it impact if I change to accrual for financial reporting? And it doesn't. You can be on accrual financial reporting and still report cash to the IRS, right, for your tax return. The only important thing is that you're telling your tax accountant your numbers are on accrual, and they're doing appropriate conversions to cash, because there may be differences, right? Obviously, your cash collections may be different from what your accrual numbers are. So it's important that they are doing that conversion to ensure that the numbers they're reporting to the IRS are truly cash basis.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because I could imagine, like, we do a lot of work in December and we don't get that till February, or, mid-November, there's delays and we don't see that until January or something like that.
So how, like, as far as taxes are concerned, so it goes in the year that you receive it, right?
Correct. If you're a cash basis preparer, you would record it based on your collections. So income would be on a cash basis. So whatever money came in from the insurance companies, your clients, that would be reported in that year.
But if you were doing this, and maybe this is a dumb question, but I'm going to ask it. If you're accrual, you submit your claims in November, but you don't see them that year, would that get counted on taxes for that year?
So if you've billed out, so on a cash basis, you've done billings in November, but you haven't received them at the end of December, that wouldn't be counted as income on cash, right? Because that's still effectively an accounts receivable, which doesn't exist for the purposes of a cash basis report. If you were reporting on accrual, which most ABA companies are not, but if you were reporting accrual for tax purposes, it would be included.
Okay. So you would advise them to like look at their books on an accrual basis, but not really do their taxes. Is that correct, on a accrual basis?
Correct. Generally, that's easier. As if for the very large ABA companies, they may be doing it. There are obviously thresholds that require you to report on accrual to IRS, but most ABA companies are less than that. So it's easier just to do cash reporting for tax.